Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. It is Monday, July the 1st, 2019, 28th of Sivan, 5779. Hope you're doing well in your part of the world. Summer is officially here in Israel. It is hot, but it's beautiful. It's great to be here in Jerusalem. All the kids are off school. People are going to the beaches. There's so many different cultural activities taking place throughout the country. A beautiful time to come visit the land of Israel. Don't forget, you can get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com. On Facebook, it's Joshua Hasten. Check out my new page, Josh Hasten, Israel Advocacy and Journalism, on Twitter at Josh Hasten, and on Instagram as well. Coming up in just a few minutes, I will be speaking with Zev Ornstein, the Director of International Affairs for the City of David Foundation. Now, there was a very exciting event which took place at the City of David yesterday. Guests included U.S. Ambassador David Friedman, U.S. Middle East Special Envoy Jason Greenblatt, the Adelson family, and many others to inaugurate a new road which was discovered several years ago. It's called the Pilgrimage Road, offering visitors the chance to walk the ancient path of Jewish pilgrims from the ritual pool, the Shiloah, to the Western Wall. Unbelievable discovery. The City of David, they have different archaeological discoveries pretty much each and every day. So this was a big one, finding the actual path which the Jews used more than 2,000 years ago to walk to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. So there was a big ceremony yesterday. We'll speak to Zev Ornstein about that. Now, of course, it doesn't come without controversy. Everybody who, David Friedman and everyone else who attended the event getting slammed by organizations like Peace Now or whatnot. Arutz Sheva here, Israel National News, says that U.S. Envoy Jason Greenblatt on Sunday, he slammed the PA for accusations that the U.S. is supporting the so-called Judaization of Jerusalem. Greenblatt saying that is ludicrous. The PA claim was connected to expected U.S. participation in that ceremony, which it did, in fact, happen. The Pilgrims Road at the City of David excavation site. Greenblatt tweeted, PA claims our attendance at this historic event supports, quote, Judaization of Jerusalem, and that's an act of hostility versus Palestinians. Ludicrous, is Jason Greenblatt. This is what he wrote on Twitter. We can't Judaize. What's the word, Ben? I'm here with Judaize. I'm here with Benjamin Bresky, engineer extraordinaire. What history, archaeology shows. We can acknowledge it, and you can stop pretending it isn't true. Peace can only be built on trust. In other words, the Palestinian Authority denying Jewish history in Jerusalem. You're talking about the City of David. This used to be in modern times, the Jewish Yemenite village back in the 1880s, which was evacuated because of the danger and the threats that the Arabs posed in that area. But if you go back 2,000 years plus, more than that, from First Temple period time, Second Temple period, there are discoveries all the time proving the Jewish connection to Jerusalem. The Palestinian Authority, we know for years Yasser Arafat denied that a Jewish temple, ever existed in Jerusalem. And now, of course, they're upset that the UN envoy Greenblatt and Ambassador Friedman are taking part in what they acknowledge is archaeology, what they acknowledge is the historic Jewish connection and proof of Jewish roots to these sites in Jerusalem. So Peace Now and the PA and many others who are, well, they're actually in favor of no Jewish presence in Jerusalem. That's really what it comes down to. They don't want Jews in Jerusalem, or at least in certain parts of Jerusalem. That's their whole shtick, if you will. They're not happy. I mean, Arabs can live everywhere, according to them, but Jews can't live in parts of Jerusalem, and that's why they're so upset. The more history we find and the more of a connection that Jews find to ancient sites in Jerusalem, the more the Palestinian Authority and groups like Peace Now are upset. So we'll speak to, hopefully in a few minutes, Zev Ornstein from Ir David, the City of David, about that. Now, there was that conference, economic conference in Bahrain, call it a workshop, if you will, just a couple days ago. But the Hebron businessmen who attended the conference, some of them were arrested. I'm talking about Arab businessmen were arrested by the Palestinian Authority when they got back from the conference. The PA, of course, decided to boycott the event, but you had local Arab businessmen from the town of Hebron. They decided to attend the conference. When they came back, several of them were arrested. And when you go into a jail in the Palestinian Authority, that is a bad thing. Okay, well, last week we talked about torture in the PA and whatnot. So Khaled Abu Tuame in the Jerusalem Post reports that PA security forces arrested a Palestinian businessman this past Friday who participated in the U.S.-led economic workshop in Bahrain. 49-year-old Salah Abu Maila from Hebron, arrested by the PA General Intelligence Service. Ashraf Jabri, another businessman from Hebron who attended the workshop representing the Judea and Samaria Chamber of Commerce, told the J Post that Abu Maila was arrested near his home on Friday after he and other Arabs attended that workshop and then returned home. A total of 15 Arab businessmen attended that conference. So Jabri told the Jerusalem Post, quote, "The Palestinian Authority does not want peace. He said, we participated in the conference after receiving personal invitations. We did not go there as representatives of the PA. He said he and his colleagues were in touch with the U.S. administration and international human rights organizations concerning the PA crackdown. And from what I understand, this individual who was arrested and whoever else was arrested yesterday, they were in fact released. I don't know if the U.S. administration played a role in their release, but they were luckily for their sakes, they were let go. Last week, social media users from the PA published the names of Jabri and others who attended the conference, calling them traitors, urging the PA to arrest them, which they in fact did. Jabri asserted that he and the rest of the delegation did not fear the PA. The Bahrain workshop was a big success, and that's why PA President Mahmoud Abbas is very worried, Jabri said. So we have a power struggle here between the Jabri clan, it looks like, and the Palestinian Authority. Jabri not backing down. He himself was not arrested, but some of his friends who participated were, in fact, jailed. Asaf Jabri, that is. Anyway, what did Bahrain achieve? That I don't know. Time will tell what, in fact, was accomplished at that workshop, if you will, economic workshop. We will see. The Hamas terrorists along the Gaza border are still at it, continuing on Fridays and every day, really, to protest violently along the Gaza-Israel border, and the number of fires over the last couple days is in the several dozens, destroying farmland, nature reserves. I'm talking about the incendiary kites and balloons released by Hamas terrorists into Israel. That is still continuing. According to Times of Israel, Israeli soldiers arrested 4 Arabs found carrying knives near the border fence just the other day. On Saturday morning, 2 of the Palestinians, as it says here, were caught with 4 knives and bolt cutters, according to the army. Another 2 nabbed overnight with also with knives in the southern part of Gaza. So you still have people who are considering this peaceful protests. 4 Arabs caught with knives, and their intention is, without a doubt, to infiltrate into Israel, to find the nearest community, and to murder Jews. That is their goal, and thank God that they were caught. As I said a few minutes ago, the fires still are raging. 14 fires broke out throughout the day on Friday, 30 on Thursday, 7,000 violent Arabs demonstrating along the border, throwing on Friday, that is, throwing Molotov cocktails at an IDF Jeep, which caught on fire. No Israeli injuries. And nevertheless, with the fire balloons and the kites, Israel once again expands the fishing zone up to 50 nautical miles, according to the J Post. agreeing to return 60 confiscated boats. Israel also agreeing to resume fuel delivery for trucks transporting more than 150,000 liters of fuel into Gaza there over the weekend. So despite the fact that even yesterday, incendiary kites and balloons, explosive devices attached to these flying weapons, if you will, coming into Israel, nevertheless, for some reason, Israel is playing this game where one day it closes the border, one day it opens the border, one day it allows fishing, the next day it doesn't allow fishing, one day it says you can fish up to 15 miles, the next day they say 7 miles. I don't know what this back and forth is, all these games are, and I've said it a million times on the show. Once again, cut off all aid to Gaza. Israel should not be involved in enabling Hamas to continue their reign of terror in Gaza. We should cut it off once and for all. I mean, eventually, of course, we should rebuild Gush Katif and go back into Gaza, and perhaps that will happen down the road. But for now, stop supplying them with humanitarian aid and the infrastructure and whatever materials that they turn around and use against us in the form of rockets and tunnels and fire bombs and balloons and whatnot. So enough of the situation. And once again, I have to say that my heart is with the people in southern Israel who've had to live in this reality now at different levels for the past 19 years. I mean, that's when the rockets started. Israel National News, switching gears here, says that there was an emergency meeting organized by MK Moti Yogev of the Jewish Home Party in regard to the illegal takeover of lands by the Palestinian Authority in Area C, what is known as Area C in Judea and Samaria. A report released by the Regavim organization reveals that over 28,000 new illegal structures have been established on Israeli-controlled territory in Judea and Samaria over the past decade, in accordance with the Fayyad plan for territorial continuity in the area towards the establishment of future Palestinian state. I mean, that's their plan, to take over strategic areas in Area C, and then once Israel and the PA, if that happens, go back to the negotiating table, they say, look, there's an Arab village here, we have this land there, just give it to us. They are taking over Area C. Those are the areas containing all the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. Israel needs to put an end to this illegal building, funded, by the way, by the European Union. And Israel should develop these areas. This is completely illegal under every agreement, what the PA is doing in these areas, putting up villages, whether it's Bedouin villages or Arab villages, stealing land, stealing water, illegal structures, and the European Union, of course, is funding it. Israel needs to put an end to it. MK Yogev addressed the subcommittee on the issue and said, during the deliberations of the subcommittee, we were exposed to a political plan according to which the PA is working to take over control of lands in Area C. And this is how they do it: agriculture, cultivation, construction of buildings, construction of master plans, and the creation of focused friction points. This is a major, major issue, folks. We've talked about it on the show before, but it continues, and hopefully the Knesset will step in and put an end to this European Union illegal funding of these projects in order to steal Israeli state land in Area C in Judea and Samaria. Enough is enough. It's been going on for so long now. Hopefully this is the start of something positive. So thank you to the Regavim organization to expose this reality. Israeli researchers are at it again, doing amazing work for the betterment of not only Israel, but for people potentially all over the world. And this is an issue here every summer in Israel, reported by Mayan Jaffe Hoffman in the Jerusalem Post. The fact that every summer infants are severely injured or are killed by parents who mistakenly leave babies in cars, which is a horrible thought just to even think about it. But a team of Israeli scientists have developed a new machine, learning-based thermal sensor that could help prevent parents from forgetting their babies and toddlers in cars, which can lead to, of course, as I mentioned, heat stroke and even worse. The new system, created by Technion undergraduate students, It's based on a simple and inexpensive thermal sensor installed opposite in the back of the vehicle, opposite of the baby seat. The sensor produces an image of the child, transfers data to a tiny computer, processes the information and issues an alert. And then people can, it's either a beep or get a notification on their text message if the sensor notices that there is somebody, a baby, inside the car. So this is amazing technology. And one day, I am hopeful that every car in Israel and all over the world should have this device because of this horrible, horrible phenomenon of people mistakenly leaving their kids in their cars. Just another example of Israeli scientists and Israel as a whole contributing towards the betterment of the world. And we could have a segment on this each and every week because of the unbelievable technologies and breakthroughs which take place here in the state of Israel and shared around the world. So you BDS haters, when you decide to boycott Israel, put down your cell phone, turn off your computer, and don't use all these amazing technologies and inventions which are discovered and made here in the state of Israel. We are going to take a break right now and come back with Zev Ornstein from the city of David to talk about the new Pilgrims Road, which just opened in Jerusalem yesterday. My name is Josh Hasten. I am in studio with Binyamin Bresky in Jerusalem, engineer extraordinaire. Don't forget and get in touch with me during the week. Josh at thelandofisrael.com, Facebook Joshua Hasten, on Twitter at Josh Hasten, and on Instagram as well. We'll take a short break and come right back with much, much more here on Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.
Prime Minister Netanyahu,
Benny Gantz, Avigdor Lieberman,
Yair Lapid,
Bezalel Smotrich,
Moshe Feiglin.
What's going on behind the scenes as Israelis prepare to go to the polls on September 17th? Tune in to Inside Israel Today on the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com for all the action as it happens.
And we are back. Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored, on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. It is July the 1st, 2019. Hope you're doing well in your part of the world. And as we are now recording the program from Jerusalem, I'm just getting alert right now that there's a code red, Tzeva Adom, code red in the south of Israel. We'll have to update you on that situation and see if it's a real rocket attack on the south. By the time you're hearing this program, we'll probably have the details of that. But we're going to go to the phone right now, and we've been talking about the new discovery in Ir David, the city of David, the inauguration of the new pilgrimage road. And here to explain what that's all about is Zev Ornstein, Director of International Affairs for the City of David Foundation. Zev, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I was watching the webcast yesterday. It was an impressive event. We're talking about the official opening of what is called the Pilgrimage Road, discovered in 2004, and the road offering visitors a chance to walk from the ancient path of Jewish pilgrims from the Shiloah pool all the way now to the Western Wall. And 2,000 years ago, the same path was used by the Jews making pilgrimage to walk to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Zev, if you can, just talk a little bit about what Ir David is, the city of David, and about this unbelievable discovery and the opening of this new road.
So the city of David is the historic site of biblical Jerusalem. When one thinks of the Bible, the places where the kings ruled, the prophets preached, that was happening in the city of David, which is just outside the walls of the old city. Up until 150 years ago, when people thought, where is the original biblical city of Jerusalem, the city of King David, King Solomon, the prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah, everyone thinks it's inside the walls of the old city. Only over the last century plus have archaeologists understood that the original location of the biblical city of Jerusalem, the city of David, Ir David, is in fact located just south of the Temple Mount, adjacent to the Western Wall. And when we think of Jerusalem, you can't help but think of the temple and the pilgrimage festivals like Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles, when all of Israel would go up on pilgrimage. Now, the historian Josephus tells us that there were some 2,000 years ago, 2.7 million people who would have gone on pilgrimage on those pilgrimage festivals each year. That's a lot of people. And so archaeologists understood, well, how are they getting from the pool of Siloam, which was the size of 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, which served during those times as a giant mikvah or ritual bath. So they said, if we know where the pool of Siloam is as of 2004, and we know where the temple stood on the Temple Mount, well, how did all those hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pilgrims get from the pool up to the temple? And so they widened the excavation, and they found, running from the pool all the way up towards the footsteps of the Western Wall, the ancient pilgrimage road. Now, we're not talking about a road sort of like the one that we found, or flagstones that are similar to the ones that we see. We're talking about the actual original pilgrimage road from 2,000 years ago, the same exact stones that our ancestors walked on. We're talking about literally walking in the footsteps of the Bible.
Unbelievable. That's an unbelievable discovery. And I know City of David, Ir David, discovers things, I guess, probably daily with the archaeology that's going on down there. I mean, where would you rank this, if that's possible, in terms of the things that you have discovered over the years? Where would you say this fits in? Is this the top? Is this near the top?
I would say twofold. Every day, as you said, in the City of David, we're unearthing antiquities that show, not simply as a matter of faith, but as a matter of fact, the connection of the Jewish people to Jerusalem, affirming so much of what's written in the Bible, seals with the names of biblical figures like the biblical King Hezekiah, like Nathan Melech, servant of the king who served King Josiah, whose seal was unearthed in an excavation just a few months ago. Every single day, we're unearthing something that shows the connection of the Jewish people to Jerusalem is, in fact, true and provable. But when we're talking about the discovery of the pilgrimage road, it's not just enough to compare it to what's been discovered in the City of David, because when one thinks of archaeological discoveries from around the world, people will think about the pyramids in Egypt, the Colosseum in Rome. The pilgrimage road stands alongside those, maybe above them, but certainly alongside them. The pilgrimage road was the monumental road 2,000 years ago where some of the most seminal events and figures going back 2,000 years for Jews and Christians alike would have happened along this road. I like to refer to it as the biblical superhighway. This is where Jerusalem was happening 2,000 years ago in all its glory, and therefore this stands on its own. There have been many, many amazing discoveries in the City of David, but the pilgrimage road, in a certain sense, links them all, because 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, when you think of the places that, whether you're Jewish or Christian, that had significance to you, you're thinking about the Pool of Siloam, you're thinking about the City of David, you're thinking about the Temple Mount, the Western Wall, the Southern Steps, the Huldah Gates, and the pilgrimage road running through the City of David links them all together. And that's why there were so many people, leaders from the Israeli government, so many representatives from the Trump administration, led by Ambassador David Friedman, Jason Greenblatt, and so many others, because the amazing thing about Jerusalem and the City of David is that it's not just significant to the Jewish people or to Israel. It's not only a Jewish heritage site or an Israeli heritage site, it's very much an American heritage site. And the reason I say that is because the heritage that America was established upon, the Judeo-Christian heritage, has its roots in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is like the Gettysburg of the United States, just 6,000 miles away. And that's why there were so many senior representatives of the Trump administration in the City of David to celebrate this occasion yesterday. They weren't just celebrating as friends to Israel, which this administration very much is, but they were celebrating a project and a discovery that very much lies at the foundations of who they are as Americans, and what the values and foundations that America is built upon very much are connected to the City of David, to the pilgrimage road, and the discoveries that are being made there, because that is the shared foundation that both of our great countries have, that Jerusalem lies at the foundation of that special relationship.
So, Zev, you beat me to it, because my next question was, in fact, going to be, what is the significance, or what was the significance of the U.S. officials there yesterday? But you answered so eloquently and explained that. At the same time, and to me, it's mind-boggling. You had extremist organizations, and I talked about it earlier in the show, protesting the fact that there is a discovery, a Jewish discovery in Jerusalem from thousands of years ago. Groups like Peace Now, and of course, you also have the Palestinian Authority up in arms about the fact that this event took place, and the fact that Israel's discovering these archaeological findings, which are essentially evidence that we've been here for thousands of years. If you can, just comment on all the haters out there who don't want to see any archaeology projects taking place, who are upset, and it bothers me more actually when Jewish groups are upset that here's an organization that is committed to unearthing our past and showing our connection to these areas, whether it's physical, spiritual, religious, doesn't matter what. I mean, how do you react to all of the haters, especially those who are Jewish?
I'll tell you that when you look at these groups, whether it's the European government-funded NGOs like Peace Now or Emek Shaveh, or you're talking about the Palestinian Authority or UNESCO, there's a narrative that they're trying to push. That narrative is that Israel is a colonial project. Jews are foreigners to this region, to the Middle East, to the land of Israel, and to Jerusalem specifically. Now, there's a problem with that because every day in the city of David and elsewhere throughout our beautiful country, antiquities are being unearthed, which show that that's nonsense, that the Jewish people have been here in Jerusalem for thousands of years. Again, not simply as a matter of faith, but as a matter of fact. Now, they can't contend with the archaeology because the archaeology undermines their whole narrative. And so what do? Instead of having an objective conversation about what is the archaeology, what is the science showing, they have to try to delegitimize the archaeology because that's the only way their narrative holds any water. Because anyone who is objective, my 6-year-old son, when he hears about these UNESCO resolutions denying the Jewish heritage in Jerusalem, he says, "Abba, Dad," he says, but it's not true. And when I meet with UN ambassadors, I say to them, when my 6-year-old son, when he knows that the resolutions that you're passing are nonsense, I said, you're really only doing yourselves a disservice because we're not going anywhere. But when I say to the United Nations ambassadors, you have an important mandate to carry out in the world. And if you want to waste your efforts passing resolutions that even little children know are not true, you're only doing yourselves a disservice. And so what's happening here is really a battle of truth. There are those who are unwilling to accept that the Jewish people have been here for thousands of years. And therefore, they resort to all sorts of tactics trying to undermine our history here. But thankfully, a discovery like the Pilgrimage Road can't be covered up. The discoveries affirming the figures from the Bible can't be covered up. This is true. It's real. The emperor is naked. And more people are seeing that every single day. And I encourage everyone listening to your show to come and see for themselves, to walk the Pilgrimage Road, see it with their own eyes, walk on it with their own feet, because it's real. You could see it. You could touch it. And we can see how significant these discoveries are by the noise that the detractors are making. The Palestinian Authority, Peace Now, UNESCO, the fact that they're getting so worked up about a discovery like this one means that it is a very big deal.
Yeah, I've said it many times, and I've mentioned this on the show and publicly and in many places before. I wish that when guests from abroad would come to Israel, their first stop, no disrespect to Yad Vashem, but their first stop to Israel should be, and those out there listening, and if you haven't been to Israel yet, your first stop in Israel should be Ir David. Your first stop should not be Yad Vashem, because the Holocaust did not build the state of Israel. We are here, as Zev explained, we are here for thousands of years, and that proof has been unearthed by the unbelievable people at the city of David of Ir David. That is what I recommend to anyone coming to Israel. It should be your first stop. I know some people want to go to even the Western Wall. I'm not saying don't go to the Western Wall, but if you really want to learn about, as Zev said, not a matter of faith, a matter of fact. If you want to learn that fact, Ir David is the place. It is the number one spot. You should, when you get off that El Al plane or whatever airline you take and come to Israel, you should go to City of David. If people want to make a reservation, Zev, they want to book their visit to Ir David, where your professional guides will take them around, what's the best way to do so?
cityofdavid.org.il.
All right, cityofdavid.org.il. I want to thank you so much, Zev Ornstein, Director of International Affairs for the City of David Foundation. Congratulations, Mazal Tov, on this latest discovery and opening of the Pilgrimage Road. Keep up the holy work that you and your entire organization are doing down there at Ir David, City of David. I want to thank you for your time, and I'd love to have you on in the future when you guys discover more, and I know it's just a matter of time.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much.
Have a great day. And that's all the time we have on today's show. And seriously, people, you got to get to the City of David, Ir David. Those of you who know me know I'm from Gush Etzion. I'm also biased towards Gush Etzion, and I'm biased to so many other places here in the land of Israel that you have to visit. Ir David should be at the top of the list. City of David. Go check that out next time you are in the country. Reports now, by the way, as we close out the show, indicate that it was a false alarm. At least that's what they're saying now. I reported just a few minutes ago about a code red potential incoming rocket. They're saying it is a false alarm. I hope that is the case. Nevertheless, even with a false alarm, you have to remember you have Israelis running for the shelters with 15 seconds or less to spare. And that's the reality down in southern Israel, which we talked about before. That's going to do it for today, the 1st of July, 2019, the 20th of Sivan, 5779. I want to thank Benjamin Bresky for all the work he does, Tabitha Epstein for getting these shows up on the landofisrael.com website and all the other places where you can hear all of our podcasts from all of our amazing hosts and their amazing shows. My name is Josh Hasten. One last time, get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com, Facebook, Joshua Hasten, or Josh Hasten, Israel Advocacy and Journalism, on Twitter at Josh Hasten, and on Instagram. Between now and when we speak again next week, everyone out there in the wonderful world of ours, be safe, have a wonderful week. Shalom, shalom, from a beautiful Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people.
On a very special edition of Israel Uncensored with Josh Hasten, the New England Patriots arrive in Israel. Hear exclusive interviews from Julian Edelman, Drew Bledsoe, Ty Law, and more.
What does it mean for you to be in Israel?
It means a lot. I mean, to come to the Holy Land and actually see American football.
It's pretty heartwarming to come out here and have all the Israeli fans screaming your name.
It's such an amazing combination of brand new and very old, and the soulful and the spirituality here.
For more coverage of the Touchdown in Israel event in Jerusalem, listen to Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.